Okay, I've just got completed with my TriMet bus calls. Uh, it's getting a little bit late. I always get so distracted on the Twitter. There's so many interesting topics that I get distracted from the TriMet stuff and I go on to all this other stuff, and so I end up spending 2 or 3 hours more than I need to spend. But I did finally get through the calls. And now we're back to this ridiculous nonsense, which I had to hang up yesterday. It was just so incredibly, oh my God. But I was thinking about it. This is why you watch this, because you can only get an insight into the management by putting yourself through this torture of watching this crap, which is what it is. These disconnected people in a whole nother world from what we're experiencing or what we're listening to on the scanner, which is what real life is, not elite life. And I've been thinking about it because, first of all, I want to remind everybody that TriMet just cut 20% of the bus service unilaterally, no public hearings, no equity analysis. They just did it. And that proves that they don't have any accountability to anybody, and all the other stuff they do is just a fraud. Okay, they pretend that they're listening to the public, but they never listen to the public. They are completely disconnected from the public. It's a sham public. Okay, their entire production is a sham, and we see that sham playing out every time I watch these meetings. So they cut the service. No hearings, no nothing. But they didn't have any layoffs. So I started thinking about this yesterday after I hung up this crap. So how is it they have an operator shortage? If they cut 20% of the service, you would think that would correspond with 20% of the operators, and I think they have 1,300 total operators over there. Okay, so 20% of that is 260 operators. So are you telling me they lost 260 operators during that? How long was that lockdown? I mean, they never stopped running the buses, right? The buses kept running, but they were running mostly empty. So my question is, how did they get to a bus driver shortage when they cut 20% of the service, which calculates out to 260 operators? Why is there a bus driver shortage? You know what I'm trying to say here? It doesn't make sense. So, 260 people plus, it have to be more than 260 people retired. It have to be more like 400 people retired in that 1 year to end up where they are. So, how did they end up with a bus driver shortage? Number one, we don't have any idea why that is. They shouldn't have, because they cut the service to correspond with that. The second thing that came to my conclusion is that this is actually the whole Build Back Better scam. Okay, I just realized that yesterday, because what they're doing is rebuilding their transit system. If you've been paying attention to this, they're starting from scratch. They're going to have this whole goddamn Jarrett Walker and Associates contractual, who knows, $1 million, $2 million thing going on to redesign their transit system. Now, why in the world would they redesign their transit system when they have already designed it? Anybody with a brain knows that all they have to do is restore the service levels to what they were before. But they're not going to do that. You see what they're doing? They're not going to restore the service as it was previously. They're going to do this, whatever this elite bullshit is, they're going to take their service in some other direction. So so they intentionally destroy, what I'm trying to say here is they intentionally destroyed their transit system. And I mean that. It was intentionally destroyed. They knew what they were doing, is what I'm saying. And they did it without any public hearings or anything else. They just did it on their own. And now they're going to build it back using Jarrett Walker and some other funky pork barrel consultant. So, I mean, we all know that TriMet is rolling in dough. They got all that federal money, and they didn't use it on service restoration. And we'll never know exactly where they used it, but we're seeing where they used it. They used it on this crap. So what you're seeing here is exactly what government actually does. It keeps itself employed. It's only interested in itself. It's a living organism that sucks the money from the taxpayers for the advantage of this guy and everybody else getting a paycheck over there in those offices. And they have this board of directors who are sock puppets who just sit there and congratulate this parasite class for all the great work they're doing when they're not doing anything. Okay, it's all made up. It's all fake. It's all nothing. They're trying to reinvent the wheel here. So that they're building back better. That's what they're doing. And they're not the only ones doing this. I just saw the MBTAs doing or some other transit has the exact same thing going on. So this is coming down from a higher level and it's being implemented on a local level. So this is a scam. We've been scammed, folks. Now, does that surprise me? Of course not. Because I know government is a crime syndicate. It funds itself and the people in it at the expense of everybody else. They have a failed transit system, and anybody that's listening to the scanner like we are will know that. Of course, nobody knows that because nobody's listening but like 5 people, okay? And whoever pays attention, it's not more than a few dozen people. I know that for sure. You know, nobody pays attention to us. And so nobody actually knows what's going on except a handful of people. So this whole thing that we're watching here is part of the scam. And it just came to me. This is the Build Back Better scam. This is it. They took the original institution, they dismantled it on purpose so that they can rebuild it and keep their jobs. You see? All this stimulus money is being directed to keep government elites in business at the expense of the riders and the drivers. This guy right here.
Board members, probably maybe just, Lori and Linda were present when Jarrett Walker came and did a workshop with them. So
now this guy here is a very typical government technocrat. You know, he has he exudes every aspect of a technocrat. Fast talking, good looking bullshitter, knows how to talk the talk. This is your career technocrat, and he'll get out of here with a big fat pension. And he's made himself. He's probably at a couple $100,000 a year at least, maybe more. I mean, all the executive class has been pumping their salaries up for years now. I'm not talking 3%. I'm talking more. They give themselves. They find another way to hide it. Like they change their titles or they give them promotions. It's not like the union where you only get 3% and that's it. These people have all kinds of ways to steal the money out of the tax revenue.
Yeah, the level of what Mr. Walker.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Jarrett Walker is kind of an internationally recognized.
And here's Steve Witter. These guys are the technocratic class of TriMet. They've been there for many, many years. They're dug in there as career technocrats, sitting at home, making their full salaries, reimagining the system that they've just destroyed on purpose.
Kind of thinker around transit networks and service levels.
Yeah, now I know Jarrett Walker and me don't get along. We had a tiff a long time ago, and he won't respond. Well, I think he did respond to me once. Anyway, Jarrett Walker was defending. He was actually defending the McFarland secret raises back in 2008. He actually had the nerve to defend that. And that was when I lost all respect for Walker, when he stepped up to defend McFarland. And that's when I started looking into Walker and who he actually was. And what I found out with Walker was he is the public transportation industrial complex's go-to man. He's the man they go to when they need help. Okay. When they need another voice to support them, they go to Jarrett Walker. He's on the payroll of all of these places, okay? And he's an independent contractor, but he's right in the thick with all of these people, and he has his own little consulting firm. And he's a smart man. I've watched his presentations. The guy's smart. There's no doubt about it. You know, he doesn't use notes when he's talking. That's how you know somebody's smart. They don't need notes when they're speaking. He doesn't need notes. He knows his material, which means his IQ is very high. But he's part of this. He's the go-to man, and he's in Portland these days.
Around the world. Grant had mentioned a few of his projects. His group has also, they're actually current.
See, now why would TriMet bring him in? Why do you need him? You already know what you need. You need to restore the service you already had, but they're not going to do that. They're going to do the Build Back Better scam. That's what they're doing, and it just came to me last night. It's like, wow, this is it. This is it. This is actually it. At the very local of levels.
Currently working in San Francisco Muni.
See, he works at every one of these public transportation industrial complexes. He's got contracts at all of them. Okay, he is the go-to man for this complex.
Helping to redesign their system post-COVID.
See, now why would they need to redesign anything? It's Build Back Better scam, folks. That's what it is. They destroyed the system intentionally, and now they're going to build it back. See what they did? This is the scam right in front of us. It's right here. It's it. This is it. The actual Build Back Better scam at the TriMet level.
They worked in Dallas area rapid transit.
Yes, we know that he's worldwide. Goddamn, everybody loves him everywhere. He's got a big fan club, all kinds of groupies. You know, he's big. Okay.
Richmond, Virginia, Anchorage, Alaska. They have really made a name for themselves around network redesign and service levels. I see Grant raise his hand, which probably means I misspoke.
No, you're doing great. I just wanted to, before we move on to other questions.
So Grant here doesn't want to go on. See what they're doing? It's all obvious to me right now. What happened? It's all obvious. That's why I sit through these torturous meetings, because you can't find out what they're thinking unless you sit through this shit. You have to sit through. I remember way back before they cut our benefits, I was the first person to tell people that they're cutting our benefits. That was like 3 or 4 years before they cut our benefits. I sounded the alarm because I listened to the meeting, and he said it in the meeting. One of these guys, he's long gone now. I forgot who it was. Whoever the goddamn council, I don't know. It was so long ago, I don't remember. I remember he said it in a meeting. We're going to cut the benefits. He didn't say it in that many words. And I called it out. And then it happened. But nobody pays it. Al's crazy. Al, nobody listens to me. But that's why you watch these, because you can only see what they're thinking. And now you know why they don't let their fan club see these meetings. This is why TriMet does not tell their 100,000 followers on Facebook and their 60,000 followers on Twitter that these meetings are happening. They intentionally evade that. And we know for sure that they intentionally don't put these on those social media platforms. They do not want people to know. We know this. This is not debatable. It's factual.
With the luxury of a few moments, I remembered one part of Dr. Lewis's question that I want to circle back to was engagement. We have the way we've structured this project is that we have held the engagement process for ourselves a bit. That we feel like we want that to meet our own standards, and we will.
Yes. They are the ones these people own your transit system. You don't have anything to do with it, folks. Nothing. You're completely locked out of your own transit system. These people that are talking to you on this board meeting here, Tom Mills, this guy, Witter, I don't even know how much fucking Dessous actually knows about any of this. I'm starting to believe that Dessous is just the black figurehead. You know, we needed some black guy to put up on the pedestal to show that we're all fucking whatever, you know, the whole democratic shtick, you know, of what's the word? Well, you know what I'm trying to get at. My mind is not so hot these days.
Bring them along with a process that we negotiate with them on engagement. So they aren't per se in the lead on the engagement piece, though we welcome their feedback, but we take engagement very seriously, and we want to make sure that
you don't take any engagement. You take nothing. You do what you want, and we know you're lying. Okay, we know you're lying, Mr. Whoever the hell you are. I'm looking at you, man, right there. I'm going to put some Bitcoin eyes on you. Look at that picture.
that meets our own standards. So for that piece of it, we are holding that to ourselves.
Yeah, of course you are.
Director Wade, then...
See, that was a good question that Dr. Lewis raised, because that's how I figured it out. So thanks to Dr. Laverne Lewis, she's the one that exposed it to me. If she hadn't asked that question, I might have missed it. So there you go. That's a board member. See, they do ask good. See, you can see that the board people actually are somewhat curious. They don't really know what's going on. We know much more about TriMet than any of them. They just come around once a month and listen to this. But you can see that they actually try to understand it. I mean, even Keith, he tries to understand it. He has no knowledge about it at all. They're all making it, but I think Ozzy actually does understand it in Ozzy's case. I think he's just a fake. I think Ozzy actually does understand the issues. I'm pretty sure he does. I know he's lurking.
Director Gonzalez and then Director Bauman.
Now let's hear what Ozzy. Now let's hear Ozzy, because Ozzy is definitely the smartest board member. No doubt in my mind about that.
Thank you, President Simmons.
This is going to be what's her name? I had a lot of hope for her, but she failed.
Yes, my question and comment was also actually to Dr. Laverne's point around the consulting firm that we've decided to choose, which I actually just Googled them right now.
Yeah, see, now you see, look, okay. See, this is the board actually being active. You know, I've been enjoying this new board. I got to tell you, this new board does seem superior to all the other boards I've been watching. And I've been watching this shit for 20 years. They seem to be more engaged or more curious. Let's put it that way. They're more actually curious. Now, see, she just Googled who they were. Now, why? See, the TriMet leaders, you know, they call themselves leaders, but we know who they actually are. They're people, technocrats who are in the right place at the right time and knew the right people, and now they're in charge of all this. Already decided who's going to get the contract. Okay, they didn't ask the board. They didn't present any of this to the board. They decided on themselves. They're going to give it to Jarrett Walker, of course, and then they're bringing it to the board. So you see how this operates, folks. These people are doing they own your transit system. They own it. The TriMet technocracy owns your transit system. They are the owners of your system. The board gives them the credibility. They give them the authority. The board rubber stamps whatever the technocracy brings to them.
Because Google is great, and you can find almost anything on the...
Now you use DuckDuckGo. Don't use Google. I stopped using Google completely. DuckDuckGo.
Search engine. So I looked them up, and it does sound like they are based in the Portland area. So that's great. That we have someone with a local.
If you don't know who Jarrett Walker is, you're not paying attention. Okay. If you don't know who Jarrett Walker is, you don't know anything about public transportation, because how can you miss Jarrett Walker? Okay, he's a big part of all of this shit.
Lens, but I will say, at least just on the public-facing website, I didn't see a whole lot around, maybe their values around equity and.
Here we go.
And diversity and inclusion, and I just really feel...
Yeah, I don't know about Jared. He's not really, I don't know about that guy. He's not, I don't know if he plays that game. I'm not sure if Jared plays that equity baloney game.
Oh, that is a big piece of the comprehensive planning work that we want to do in our agency, is really look at centering equity, which is again part of our strategic vision as a board and as an agency.
Remember, folks, think back to when there was a time you weren't supposed to be using race as a measure of anything. And ever since they started the affirmative action, it's just been now race is the actual criteria. It's gone all the way to where you can't get a contract if you don't meet certain standards of racial makeup. So they've gone all the way over the edge of fairness, from fairness and who's the best qualified to you have to have the right composition of your staff or you can't get a poor contract.
So I just want to point that out, that I think that we can do better when it comes to, again.
Whoa, Kathy, hit some. She doesn't like you, Jared.
And, choosing firms that has an equity-centered mindset. And that's not to say that, of course, they can't bring that to our table as we collaborate with them. But I just want to say that, that is something that for me as a board member, they are going to also represent us right out in the community. So I just want to make sure that we are choosing the best of the best in the industry, but also we're choosing folks that really bring that knowledge and understanding of working with, as Director Laverne said earlier, Director Lewis said earlier, comes with the understanding of working with underserved communities. And so, again, I just want to point that out, and I want us to improve.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Jarrett Walker website. Okay, he's got Asians. Let me see here. I don't know. It looks like he's pretty diverse to me. Here, let me show you. Hold on. There it is. Here's his team. Okay, there's him. There's a woman. There's a white guy. Is that I guess it's not. I guess that's a white guy. I don't know. What is he? White guy? I don't know. White guy. White woman. Asian. Hispanic. And Indian. And white woman.
On that piece of finding.
At least he's not lily white. I mean, he's made an attempt to be diverse, I guess, but whatever.
More firms with that particular expertise and knowledge. And then I just, as a follow-up, have a question around that. So I also, I don't know if we are, again, able to give stipends out to participants. Or just, smaller grant funding opportunities to community organizations for the service plan input. Because, again, I just want to reiterate that what I'm hearing from TIAC members is people are just exhausted and they're feeling like every day they're getting asked a community survey on something. So I just wanted to raise that point of, will there be, again, incentives to give to community members, whether it's, gift cards or just small.
Nobody wants to participate. Look, people are busy trying to survive, okay? The people you're catering to are being screwed, okay? They're barely surviving. And you're in an elite bubble, so you have no idea what real people are doing. You're in that other bubble. You're not watching real life.
Small stipends so that we can acknowledge and recognize their participation.
The bottom 20% of this country, like 60 million people, is literally in the ditch or in a tent. There's millions of people who are actually completely disregarded from the society. They have nowhere to go. They have no hope. They have no future. And there's no government entity to help them. They're dead. They're dead men walking, I call them. Because we're living in a death cult. We live in a society that worships death. We kill other people in other countries. We imprison our own people for victimless crimes. We are a death cult.
And it's something that we're doing. So that's a question back to the team.
And
Do we want John
Go
Gardner?
ahead, Tom.
Okay.
Do we want John Gardner to jump in? Because
Okay,
I
so now
think
John Gardner is their black yes man. Okay, he's the guy. He's the guy that pretends there's. He's the guy. He's the black face that they put to pretend there's some equity going on there. There's equity among the goddamn executive staff, and I guess there's equity in the bus drivers, but it doesn't trickle down to their service to the public. Their service to the public is horrible. I mean, what good is your agency if you can't provide the service, and they can't provide the service? So all of this means nothing. And trying to reinvent your transit system is completely fake. It's just baloney. No reason to do it. But that's what they're doing.
Director Way, I think those are all really good comments, and I think that we're hiring Jarrett Walker and company for their analytical work. I think that we very much know the outreach, and we will own the outreach. We will confer with our consultant, Jarrett and company, but we own it. And so therefore, when it comes to reaching out and all those things,
yes, you own the transit network. You guys, these people do own your transit system. You, the consumer, or you, the bus driver, have no say in any of this. That's the point I want to bring in here. And I don't want to go on too long. I was hoping to finish it off, but I don't have. It's already 30 minutes, so we got 4 more minutes.
you said, whether there's stipends and stuff like that, those are all things that we are in control of. And John, do you want to jump in? Because I know that you've had some preliminary conversations about our engagement before we've even selected the contractor.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
One of the things, we're having a community engagement retreat tomorrow, so this is perfect timing, and we've talked to Tom and his team, and I think him and Grant said this. Essentially, we don't want to offshore sort of community engagement. So if anything, we want this to be leveraged by our experience and learnings from the Reimagine project and to go beyond, because this is even just as big in terms of how service is allocated and how it serves, especially transit-dependent and low-income and minority communities across the region. So really, this is a chance for us to apply sort of TRIMET's draft equity lens. I mean, Reimagine was the first project we used using the equity lens that you saw a summer and a half ago. And so this would be the second large-scale system project that we can actually take the learnings from that tool and apply them to this. And invest in community partners, not just leverage their expertise, and make sure that we have voices from across the region. So that's the plan. It is an accelerated plan. You will see this conversation continue at the TAC table as well, Director Way, because we want to leverage existing conversations so we don't just burden more people with sort of informing our work. But definitely, when it's all said and done, we feel like we can bring a coalition to this conversation to tell you that they really felt like their voices were heard and that they had input. And
it's just garbage, folks. You're listening to garbage. You're garbage. These people are working for themselves, and that's it. They've created this whole thing for themselves. It doesn't have to be done. It's a fraud. 100% fraud, folks. On that note, I'm going to end this episode, and I guess I'll never get done with this meeting at this rate, but that's enough for now.